So up on initial teardown, the filter is integrated into the pan, plastic pan, and it looks like the filter might come out of there. I'll have to look at it, but it looks like it's integrated in the pan. The 8 HPs, a lot of them you have to replace the pan with the filter. So this is pretty cool. Pretty interesting. The pump, it's driven by a chain. So this is the engine spinning. It drives the chain. The pump is right there. So they put the pump right down in the fluid, keep it super efficient, won't overcavitate. That's the pump cover. Okay, now that I got the extension housing off, I had to press it off. Not entirely sure how it's gonna go back on there because it's pretty fucking tight. I'd use a press, but check this out. This is the back of it. There's your parking pawl, speed sensor. I know I had to be really careful because the speed sensor wire goes through here and it connects here and then clips on the valve body, so you have to unplug it, take the valve body off, undo this. Gonna get into it, and then the reluctor is here. Okay, I got the drum out. This is where all the magic is. Such a well-engineered unit. Unbelievable. There's only one clutch pack outside of this drum. Ingenious. So I'm going to tear into that now. I got the case in the machine. Washing it. Didn't really need much washing, but cleaned up pretty nicely. Yeah, pretty simple inside. So I'll blow that off. Okay, so I've got this thing kind of ready to disassemble. So it's on my bench here. I had to build a little bit of, turn down this drum. That's a drum out of a 4100 because the tone ring is in there and I didn't want to bump it. So typically you'd set it down through the hole, which is, you see here. And if I did that, it would definitely set on the tone ring. And we know how critical those are, so I want to be very, very careful not to fuck with it. And then I also taped up the delivery rings and everything on the inside, which you can't see, so I'm gonna tear this bitch apart and I'll show you the rest of it. Okay, here's the final product. So check the size of these planets out. Fucking animal, dude. This is the sun shell, which is not gonna be really much of a problem. This is basically your like torque gears, lower drive, and then this is the planet, or the ring gear for the planet, which goes around it essentially. Doesn't just assemble, but so this thing, so it has multiple shells that are rotating inside of each other, like this guy inside of this one inside of this one, so you can run power back and forth. That's how you get the 8 gears in such a simple design. And then nice size clutch packs, and it's basically like almost zero clearance clutch packs on these guys, which is what we're seeing with newer trannies because there's no timing between the clutch packs, so they're not preloaded, but they're zero. So the parasitic draw is pretty minimal, and that's kind of why they put the slots in them to sling the oil out so they don't drag too much. But it allows the clutch is basically seated, so you'll see this guy. This is one of the drums that are rotating, and so this one's actually relatively loose for what it is, but it's kind of a backwards design because this is the piston that's stabilized, and then this piston hydraulically pushes against this, so kind of a goofy deal. So I'm going to take that apart here in a little bit, but I'm not concerned about that one. But this guy will be our problem child. High mileage, mainly because it's aluminum. So these splines are going to beat out, they'll wear out. So I'll probably take this apart and we'll start mocking this up so we can start building a steel drum. Basically just no redesign, just basically build it out of steel. And what's funny, mark my words, guys will try to patent this. They'll be like, oh, it's our patented drum. But one thing that's interesting about a patent is you cannot get a patent on something by changing the material. So if you're just making that, say, out of a titanium or whatever, it's not patentable. Now, if you were to change the design of it, then you could claim a patent on it, and it would be maybe kind of enforceable, but not really. But if you just built it out of the same material, then you're just making it stronger, better. Make it out of plastic, make it out of steel, make it out of 300M, make it out of whatever you want. It doesn't really fucking matter. But anyway, point is not patentable. But going back to trans, I mean, there's not much failure point in this thing, dude. I mean, this is the drum on the 10-speed that is typically aluminum that eats up, and 8HP, all the 8-speed series, they built them out of steel. So there's not really much concern there. I mean, pretty much the bottom line on this thing is going to be programming. I haven't cut the converter yet, so I'd imagine the converter is going to have the same fate as the 8HP. So just because the converter is going in and out of lockup in every shift, which is a big deal, and that's what kind of wears them out. That's what fucks up the 8HP. That just kills the fluid, right? So this is noteworthy. So this is going to be a big deal for rebuilding, because this is like a magnetic strip, right? So this is how the speed sensor picks up the rotation inside through the aluminum drum. So this guy is spinning, and that is your intermediate. That's basically your turbine speed sensor. So, I mean, it's pretty tough, but definitely could be really fragile. It could be an issue. And then, of course, that's your input shaft. So, something else that's kind of noteworthy is the hardening on this. So this is how I've been hardening our shafts. This is not just a salt hardening. This is a quench after hardening, and that's what gives it that weird texture. So it makes them like not pretty, but see how it's all fucked up looking? I mean, it's just weird. Let me try to zoom in on it. You can see it maybe a little better. Gotta be careful so I don't fuck that drum up. See, that's weird. I mean, that's not. It's just a coloring problem, but that's the hardest you can make a shaft, or that's the process of hardening. But anyway, that's the deal. So that's the input shaft torque converter, and then it goes splines into intermediate. So now power can go from here. It can go backwards this way through that sun shell. And then it can go the other direction through this sun shell back to the rear planet, to the output shaft, which is this guy. So that's kind of how the power flow transfers. It can go kind of back and forth, round and round. That gives you a pretty good idea of like what's happening there. So anyway, very nice design, strong as a motherfucker, and obviously with all the torque management, that makes a big improvement on why these guys can handle so much power. So that's what I know for now. So I'll work on getting this drum blueprinted out. I'll take it back apart, and then I'll start printing it, get it blueprinted, and then probably just put this bitch back together. But that'll take me a couple weeks to get that dialed in.